Aloha and welcome to the Big Island Rail and Kawaihae Harbor Railroad, my HO scale shelf layout that's based on the actual Big Island of Hawaii and the Kawaihae Harbor. And if you've ever visited the Big Island and made your way up past all the big hotels up to Kawaihae Harbor, you've seen the breakwater that's there that protects the harbor and Young Brothers container operation there and other businesses from the ocean waves. There's a breakwater there that is made out of lava, and that's what I'm going to try to recreate here on the layout on the barge slip portion of the shelf layout. So follow along and I'll show you how I did mine. All right, my base for the lava breakwater is some pieces of my acoustic tile that I use as the roadbed on my layout. I've kind of roughly cut the edges and broken the edges to give a little bit of a slant to it. Then on top of that, I slather a pretty good layer of the Loctite adhesive. This is foam safe adhesive and it dries relatively clear, and it's pretty instant grab too. So this mixture here is found on Amazon. Actually, this is a little bit more of a custom blend, but you can get black lava rock and red lava rock, and I've taken those two and mixed them together and added it in a single layer over the Loctite adhesive. Once I had a pretty even layer of the lava rock, I pushed it into the adhesive with my fingers and let it dry overnight. As you can see, there's some spots where there aren't any rocks, and of course not every lava rock was making contact with the adhesive, so there is some loose lava. So I came up with an idea. Rather than using just regular diluted white glue like we do on our other scenery, I thought, why can't I tint the white glue and make it black glue so it would adhere the black lava rock and not really show up. Now, I don't know if any of you guys have done this before. This is kind of my first thought about doing it. Since I've got black and rust-colored lava, I didn't want to put just plain white glue because sometimes that doesn't dry all the way clear. So I thought, what if I made a black glue using some basic craft acrylic paint, some Elmer's glue, isopropyl alcohol, and just a little bit of distilled water to make my glue mixture. So I really don't have an exact formula. I did add water, alcohol, the glue, and the paint to get a really thick consistency. So it's pretty close to what the glue normally is in consistency, maybe a little bit runnier because you want it to go between the rocks and things. But we'll have to see. I think this is going to work good. I've got a lot of lava rock to adhere to the layout, and I think you could do like a brown glue and use that, and that would hide the glue when you're putting down bushes and trees and maybe your ballast and rocks and things like that. So I'm just sweeping some of the loose rocks from the base of the breakwater here. Not too bad, actually. There's a few, and we'll deal with those in just a second. Okay, so we are ready to adhere some of this lava rock a little bit better, get it more secure by using my black glue, or as the folks over on the other side of the pond and down in Australia say, PVA. Same thing, white glue. You can see that this is an old dispenser with the white glue that I can't get up off the bottom. Anyway, we've got that in a really nice, this is like a condiment dispenser. And then I've got my wet water. It's mixed with distilled water, alcohol, and a little dish detergent to break the surface tension. So my first step is to wet the lava rock with the wet water. Get a little bit of a section going here, and that'll help with breaking the surface tension, and then will help the black glue to kind of ooze through the openings and the cracks. Okay, so I've got my black glue, and I'm going to just kind of throw it in between where I'm seeing some white from the Loctite power grab. Just kind of squeeze it in there. I can see where I'm doing here. You can see there's some white places down in there. Squeeze that in there. Places where I see that the rocks are still loose. Then I'll go back in and hit it again with some wet water to help loosen up the glue a little bit and get it to start flowing in between the rocks. And then I'll go over it again with some other loose rocks and push those down into the glue. So not only am I adding to the pile of rocks on my breakwater, but I'm also gluing the other pieces down inside. That's why I don't paint the backdrop before I do this stuff. Then I'll go back in and add some more rocks and squeeze them in there to where the new glue is. Push those up in there. All right, so it's all glued in with my black glue and wet water, And then I went back in and tried to put some extra rock on top of the places where the glue was a little bit thick. Adhere those in, sprayed it again with wet water. And right now it looks like ground beef. So what I'm going to do once this is all dry and in place is bring the airbrush in with a little bit of red-black paint and give the rocks here a spray to get more of a uniform color and get rid of any shine that there might be, because the breakwater in Kawaihae Harbor is pretty much just plain black lava rock. So I want to represent that as closely as possible, although this isn't an exact replica of that breakwater. I want it to be a little bit reminiscent of what you'd see when you visit Kawaihae Harbor and the breakwater there. And if you're thinking, well, you know, when I go over to Hawaii next time, I'll just grab a big bag of lava off of the island. Well, don't do that unless you want Madame Pele to curse you. Maybe it's folklore or superstition, but a lot of people have taken lava rock from the island and have found themselves in, well, let's say they wish they'd never taken Madame Pele's lava off the island. So I just wanted to give you a little close-up look of the breakwater and the lava, and between the Loctite and the tinted black white glue or PVA, got a pretty good adhesion. Obviously, some of these guys down in here are just stragglers. A few little spots where some of the white from the ceiling tile is showing through, but for the most part, I think it looks pretty darn good. You don't see any glue at all. So the next thing will be to airbrush with a little appropriate lava color to bring a little bit more consistency, so the red lava doesn't stand out as much, and that'll make it look a lot more like the prototype in Kawaihae Harbor. Okay, so all the rock is in place and glued down, looking really good. There wasn't very many loose grains of the lava, so that was a good thing. I've kind of just real roughly masked off the background to keep overspray from getting on it, although there's already junk on it, but keep it down a little bit. I'm gonna spray a combination of some black and dark burnt umber. Going to mix that together to kind of get that reddish black lava look, and then I'm going to use my airbrush to spray. Here's our colors, just regular craft store dark burnt umber, which I've shaken up, and craft store black, and I'm going to mix those together. And then I also have some Liquitex Professional Airbrush Medium. To use this instead of water to thin down your paints, your acrylic colors to the proper consistency for airbrushing. So we always add this in there first. Put a couple more drops in there. Put this on the tray. And I'm going to put a couple drops of brown. And maybe 1, 2, 3. 3 big ones of black. And then we just take an old brush and mix it up. Kind of thinking this needs just a little bit more of the medium to thin it out a bit. And stir that up. That's running better. So I'm going to go ahead and lay down the rest of the paint on this while it's still wet in my airbrush, get cleaned up, and then we'll talk about it. Well, at first glance, it looks pretty doggone good, I think. There's the barge slip, the apron that needs to be worked on and painted. But other than that, looks pretty doggone good, I think. The color seems really good, and it does still have some of that kind of brownish lava look to it, and which is awesome, but I didn't want it to look like there was 2 different colors of lava rock there, so this looks a little bit more homogenized, and I think it's going to be good. Next step is to clean up the backdrop, get that repainted, and some of the holes patched, and we'll be ready to do some background clouds and also get the tropical water in Kawaihae Harbor all painted up. So that'll be coming up next time. If you like the shirt, look in the description below. There's a link to my t-shirt shop where you can get your own Big Island Rail t-shirt. Also links in the description for some of the things that we're using here on the layout as well. Till next time, mahalo for watching. Aloha.